All right, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm exhausted and also Kelly, and this is Teresa, as you guys well know.
I'm not exhausted. It's another episode of Wandavision.
Yes, Teresa's far more excited. I loved the episode, don't get me wrong. I just got up way too early this morning, so if I'm a little bit witty, as Vision likes to say, flourish, that's what's going on today. So we have a lot to break down. Teresa, can you just give us a quick summary of what happened in this episode?
This episode was a mixture of the sitcom world and the regular world, and we find out a lot more. Basically what happens is we see Wanda and Vision's twins age up, and it's interesting how Wanda can't control them. We see that Vision is starting to break through from the reality in a big way.
He's also pushing back against Wanda in ways that he's never done before.
We see Wanda seemingly becoming more villainous and really trying to keep this reality together. We also see that she maybe is not in as much control as we thought she was, and that things aren't what they seem with Wanda either. And then we also get Sword continuing to try to break down the reality and trying, in the case of the new director, he's trying to use more aggressive measures. And we leave off the episode, spoiler, with Evan Peters as Quicksilver showing up, and they note that has he been recast, and he's obviously the Quicksilver from the Fox universe, so that is now bringing us into the multiverse, and then we fade off into the next episode.
And I just have to say, I'm so happy they did this. I've said it in multiple episodes how badly I wanted Quicksilver to end up coming through the door dressed like Uncle Jesse in leather and all the rest of it, and that's exactly what they did, and I was so happy with that. So let me just get that off my chest. Everything I ever wanted. It was such an easy, like, Uncle Jesse play to do that in the 80s episode, and so that was very good of them to do. We've got to, go pretty quick tonight. We're running out of time, so I just wanted to go really quick through our notes from having just watched it. So, as Teresa brought up, Wanda's trying to control the twins from the time that they are newborns, trying to stop them from crying, and she notices that she can't do it. And I thought it was kind of weird that she kind of sends Vision off away so he doesn't see her doing things. So she's now, it kind of went from, in the beginning, it was Vision and Wanda together hiding her powers. Now she's hiding her powers from Vision because she's getting so much more powerful and so much more power hungry and power crazy. Like, every problem she has can be solved by her powers now. And, just regular day-to-day things that normal people would just have to fight through, she's not willing to fight through them anymore. She just wants the easy way out with her powers. So I thought that was interesting. Talk a little bit about Agnes and her role in this episode.
So Agnes is always the one in this episode showing up to give them what they need. She comes in and
it's like on cue with whatever Wanda says they need something, or implies that they need something, and then all of a sudden Agnes walks in with that
she's
something.
There as a babysitter, and it's interesting because Vision doesn't want her to stay, and she turns to Wanda as if, Wanda, why don't you fix this? Why don't you rewind it? So Vision wants me to stay. So very interesting stuff. Because Agnes, we know that she really knows what's going on. She sees the twin aging up, and she says kids can't control them no matter how hard you try. So she knows who Wanda is. She knows what Wanda's abilities can do. So she knows everything. But it's interesting how she turns to Wanda and is like, why aren't you fixing him? This is supposed to be my part. Someone noted it's like in a sitcom where someone gets their line wrong.
Right.
And then they get confused for a second. And they're like, do you want to do another take?
Yeah.
That's what she says.
Yeah. And it's just weird how now she's looking to Wanda specifically for her cues. In the first two episodes, and especially in the second episode, it's Agnes that's like teaching Wanda the ropes and like showing her, okay, with Dottie you need to do this, and when you're serving dinner to the hearts you need to do this. And now it's like she's looking to Wanda as kind of the dictator as far as what they're going to do and how they're going to react. And so I thought that was all very interesting, how the roles have kind of shifted between Wanda and Agnes, how she's much more subservient to Wanda as opposed to in the beginning where she was just kind of, being helpful and showing Wanda here, and here. And now it's like, oh no, I need to do what she says or I'm going to get in trouble.
Since we'll just clump it all together with Agnes, I just thought that the dog storyline was very interesting. Because it's kind of a stereotypical thing you might get in an 80s sitcom where the dog dies.
In fact, it happened in a Full House episode.
The dog dies,
the dog
runs away, something like that.
They lose the dog in Full House in season 8, episode 1.
I'm just saying they use that plot and it becomes, why, Wanda, you can bring it back to life, and her twins realize you can do anything, and Agnes is like, can you do that? Like, she wants her to do that. And
except for one, the interesting thing is Agnes is like shocked that Wanda can do that. When she says that, she's like, you can do that? So it sounds like Wanda's gotten more powerful than even Agnes realized she was going to be, and that could end up being problematic for somebody bad like Mephisto, who is probably starting to feel a little threatened by Wanda, who's becoming so powerful that they even talked about it in the episode. They talked about how, she could have taken out Thanos on her own if he hadn't have dusted everybody. And so there's multiple references throughout this episode about how powerful Wanda is.
They were actually referencing he blitzed on her. He called in the cavalry, and they really dusted her up. And
cavalry, not Calvary.
Whatever. Anyway, either that or she's. Someone else had a theory that they want her to start bringing people back from the dead, and that maybe Vision is not the result of Wanda bringing him back, but someone else.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. That's going to come into play. The fact that she did not bring the dog back from the dead, the fact that how people reacted when she didn't, the idea that she could or couldn't do that. That's going to be a big factor. The fact that when Vision comes on, then she seems like maybe she would have done it. Then Vision showed up, and then they stopped the notion that the dog was going to come back.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. I might need to watch it again just to kind of study whether she does that. But she certainly wasn't going to do it in front of Vision, and she certainly wasn't going to do it out in the open necessarily in front of everybody. But she just doesn't really seem to have the same level of fear of other people that she did in the beginning. In the beginning, it was like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Hart, we need to make them look.
Now it's everyone is controlled by her. Like the mailman says, oh, your mom won't let him get too far away, ma'am.
Yeah.
And then Agnes, she is aware, oh, can you do that? It's not a sitcom world anymore.
Yeah.
She legitimately sees her as the witch.
Yeah, but, everybody looks at Wanda as kind of the Russian czar telling everybody what to do, and if you get out of line, then you're gonna get, you're gonna go to the gulag,
So, what was I gonna say? It was important. We were talking about the dog. We were talking about Agnes. What was I about to say?
Let's move on real quick, because I have here in my notes that the sword director is now obviously an antagonist. Like
that's what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about the fact that this episode kind of tries to paint Wanda as a villain for a lot of it, because we get that scene where she comes out and she talks in her Scarlet Witch voice, and she throws the drone back at them, and she tells them to stay out of her zone and all that. And Kelly thinks that that's not really Wanda, and that's...
Yeah, so there's a couple of instances where they show footage of how Wanda, allegedly, goes in and takes Vision's body parts that are apparently being experimented on in this lab.
And here's the thing.
They're in pieces all over the place.
They're in pieces all over the place. There's people experimenting on them, but Jimmy Woo notes that it was in Vision's will that he did not want anyone to tamper with his body because he didn't want himself to be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
So I think that is Wanda. I think she's being framed, though. Like, maybe the start of her story is she finds out what they're doing to Vision, so she breaks in to try to rescue his body.
Yeah.
And then she takes it, and then I don't think that the director, I don't think that he's Mephisto or anything like that.
Either.
I think that he's just trying to hide what they were doing with Vision.
Yeah, there's that element. But my idea was that it's potentially not Wanda going in there and doing that, and it's also potentially not Wanda who came out of the vortex or whatever you've got going on with Westview. So there's a scene where she comes out and she throws one of their drones back at them and screams at them for a little while, then goes back in. And I had a suspicion that was even Wanda, because it's strange how it's cut so that it just goes right back to her with the kids as if nothing has happened. And so I was wondering, is that Mephisto masquerading as Wanda? Are there two Wandas? What's going on here? Because it's just so odd.
Also, it's just more with Wanda not seeming aware. She's not the complete witch, even when she's kind of breaking free from reality. She also just seems confused, and she says she does not understand how we got there, and that she doesn't believe that she's really controlling everyone. So I'm wondering if we've been fooled, and maybe Wanda's been fooled into believing she's the one controlling. We see multiple times her trying to get the stork to disappear, her trying to control the twins.
Yeah.
She thinks she's the one in control, but she's not.
Yeah.
So this could be what Wanda has created. It also could be what someone has created for Wanda, knowing what she would want.
And then Wanda can only operate within the boundaries of that creation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these are all very interesting theories. The thing that I find most disturbing was the fact that Vision can actually turn people's hypnotism off. And this was the most, I think, the most disturbing scene in the whole episode, other than when Vision and Wanda were fighting. But when he turns Norm's mind back on, and Norm is aware of what's going on, but also under the spell, if you will, and so he's in extreme pain, but he's aware of it instead of being in extreme pain and being numb to it and under the hypnotic spell or whatever. So it was interesting that Vision was able to turn the hypnotism off and communicate with him, but then realizing that Norm was in such pain, he had to turn him back into the zombie that he is.
And this is why it could be that Wanda's being controlled, because what she's scared of is she's scared if the illusion goes away, then Vision's gonna die again. He's gonna become what she saw in episode 3. I don't think she realized everyone's in pain, but I think if someone else is the real mastermind of all this, they probably might have showed them dead Vision as a kind of a threat to her to keep her going this way.
Yeah, this is another thing that having watched it a second time, I was thinking, it's interesting to see how Vision is displaying so many more human emotions in this series than he ever has in any other iteration. And in this one, he's literally hysterical, screaming at Wanda, saying how scared he is. And so I'm just wondering what this is doing to his character, and what this means for his character. Is he a different version of Vision? Is he somebody else? Is he even real? It's very confusing to me, and I'll be interested to see how this all plays out, because I don't have a lot of theories other than Vision seems to be breaking down and falling apart. At the same time, Wanda is also breaking down because she's losing control piece by piece of this universe that she's created, or that somebody has created for her. She's slowly losing control, and as she loses control of the situation, Vision loses control emotionally of what's going on. And so I think that those two things are connected. And you just see little things like Wanda's like actually lying to her kids about, oh no, today is Monday. And then they're like, no, it's Saturday. And she's like, no, it's...
She isn't able to lie to them either.
They don't fall for it, because they were created within this thing. They know how this works. They know how all of it works. They're not gonna pretend like this is a thing that it isn't. So that's interesting. She's not able to fool them, because they're like, we know you can fix this. We know that today isn't Monday, it's Saturday. Like, it's funny how of all the people in Westview, the only people that she cannot lie to successfully or control are her children. So again, this episode answered a lot of questions and also ripped open a whole bunch more questions.
Yeah, and it's interesting that for the children, that was the whole thing in number 2, and now we find out there's no children in the town.
Yes, there's no children in the entire town. Yeah, what? Yeah, so for the children was obviously for the creation of the 2 twins. So, and then of course we have the ultimate reveal at the end, which is the union of Fox and Disney and their child, which is Quicksilver, which reappears on for the children, and the third child, which is Quicksilver, which comes in the form of Evan, whatever his face is, on the screen. And that was a wonderful moment. Again, they made him be the Uncle Jesse that shows up in the leather, and I just loved it. And it was, I knew he was coming because I knew he was on the cast list, and what better way to introduce this character than to make him be the Uncle Jesse in the Full House scenario, although it looked more like Roseanne's house, but, whatever. And, Vision was wearing Roseanne's husband's clothes, but never mind. I know that's kind of more of a 90s show. But we get the 90s next week. It's the Halloween episode next week. I know we weren't able to cover as much as we usually cover in this video, but I am strapped for time. I have to go home and sleep. So, thank you guys for watching this episode. If you have any comments about today's episode and what your theories are or what's going on, I mean, just a side note, I really loved it that Monica doesn't like Captain Marvel. That made me really happy because I don't like Captain Marvel either. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to get notifications, and comment below, flourish! Comment below, flourish! Hit F for flourish, in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys on the next episode.